didn't see this until the end. These the rules.
Everybody take a seat. Well, I know he had talked about it. What he was trying to do was give everybody an opportunity to ask questions. They wanted to limit it.
Oh, got it.
And not have people just get up there and filibuster.
Sure, sure. Oh no, you gotta get a microphone.
Leaving me over here digging the
Oh yeah.
Okay, we'll get started. I want to thank everybody for joining us tonight. Address a couple things before we get started. First thing is the handout that you were given. We made a correction. It was a good call out. I do want to point out that that handout is not driven by the city. This is a city sanctioned event to provide information to the citizens. When we decided to put that handout together, what we're trying to avoid is a lot of communication, conversation back and forth. We all have our opinions. We all believe what we believe, and that's fine. I have no problem with that. This forum is not for that, not tonight. What we are trying to do as former committee members is answer any questions that are left out there about what the charter says and why we put it in there. If you want to have discussions amongst yourselves later, feel free. If you are pro home rule and you want to have an event like this that is all pro home rule, feel free. If you are against it, feel free. Okay? We are giving our time tonight, not to pat ourselves on the back, to try and answer questions. There are still a lot of questions out there people just don't know. So that was the genesis of that sheet. I've talked to the fellows up here, our timekeepers. 30 seconds is probably not enough. Where's she at? Where are you? Where's my call out? I don't know where she went. Did she leave?
I'm right here.
Oh! Hey,
I
over
have
here.
5 minutes because I was the call out. I can speak for you.
That's a good call. 30 seconds is probably not enough. But please, all I ask is, if you're going to reference something, that's fine, reference it. But do not get up to the podium and go into a 20-minute dissertation, okay? There are people amongst us that have good questions, and we want to hear them, and we want to try to answer them, okay? That's what that sheet is for. So, appreciate everybody being here. We know there's a lot of, there's a lot of that. So, hopefully we can provide some more information on what we were thinking and why, so.
Jim, let me ask you a question.
Yes, sir.
Who decided that this isn't an open discussion? It
What do you
was
mean?
put out as a town hall meeting.
Yes.
There's no agenda. There's not, are you the moderator?
So,
According to the
so what this
city
is,
manager, there's no-
that's a good question, it's come up.
So you're now saying we can only ask questions about the charter, we can't debate it, we can't do anything else except ask questions. Who decided that?
We did,
Who is we?
these folks here.
Well, now, wait a minute, this is a city meeting.
No, no,
This is a.
no.
Yes,
Well,
it was
no,
advertised at
hold
the
on.
city hall.
This is what we're trying to avoid, Pat. This is not a city meeting. These,
Sanctioned by the city. Come
To
on,
provide
it's a city
information.
meeting.
to
Well,
provide
if
information.
you and I
If
have
it's
a
sanctioned by
disagreement,
the
is
city,
that
it's
not
a city
information
meeting.
for
It's just
everybody
a
else?
different
For me?
format.
You guys are talking over each other.
Well, you're up here trying to run the railroad.
No,
It was open
Pat,
and
I am not. I am not. I am trying to provide information to people that are seeking information.
All right.
Sir, you have your opinion, and I know what it is, and I'm fine with that. But what I don't need is for people coming up here for 20 minutes going, home rule stinks, I can't tell you why, but I hate it. Don't vote for it. Why did you guys do this? And then not giving us a chance to answer. We're just trying to provide information.
Well, how about the other half of the information?
What other half?
Why we wouldn't want to have home rules?
If you are against home rule, you are more than welcome to have your own forum.
Well, now, wait a minute, this wasn't a pro home rule.
It is not pro home rule. You will not hear any of us up here, we've discussed it. We will not give you our opinions. We are here to tell you what is in the charter and why the committee put it in there.
And this was explained where?
Just now.
Congratulations, welcome to the dictatorship.
A little bit unethical, running for a position, something created.
I do not. I do not. I was asked, as with all of these folks, were asked to sit on the committee by the city council. Your city council,
All of them?
every one of them, your city council selected the citizens that sat on that committee.
Who made you chairman?
The committee voted. Uh-huh.
It says the city manager shall run for an indefinite term.
Yes, ma'am.
I believe that currently they run a contract for like 2 years. Now, when I first came to Morgan's Point 5 years ago, there was a city manager that, and there's all kinds of rumors that I don't even know what's true or what's not true. There was a city manager who was not doing well, and all they were, the city council was able to just not renew his contract. And that way they didn't have to go through litigation and get him terminated or anything like that. And so I'm wondering, I just, as prelude to that, I talked to Dalton and he told me that the average city manager is 3 to 5 years. So what if we get a bad one, you know, and then we have them hired for an indefinite term? So I'm curious why you changed it to from a contract, 2-year contract to indefinite term.
Do what?
Oh,
Go
we
ahead.
didn't, we did not change what the length of the contract is. That's still the same. We also included that a manager can be removed by a supermajority of the city council.
Okay, that was another question, why a supermajority? I looked at, home rule charters from other small cities, and, they didn't have supermajority to remove a city manager, and I was curious to see why that too. It seems like a lot of protection for a city manager who, if they happen to be bad, what are we gonna do to protect a resident from Morgan's Point?
Well, two thoughts real quick. So the indefinite piece that's in there, what that does is that provides, it holds council accountable for the performance of the city manager. So with an indefinite term, council has to act if the city manager is not doing his job. They can't, let's just say you have a city manager who comes on board, he's there 8 months and he's not doing his job. Council can choose to just wait the next, whatever the math
Year
is,
and
so
four.
16 months and not do anything, just ride it out and then not renew his contract. That's not good for the city because now you have 16 months of limbo. If it's indefinite, then it forces the council to act. Council has to do something, otherwise what do? You just let him go as long as he wants to go?
Well, and I have a question, I don't know if it's a question or a statement or whatever the case is, but to me, when you say indefinite, the city manager is hired on by the city council as an employee. So for me,
Let me cut you off for a second. I forgot, we're streaming, so we need you guys at the podium. That's why the podium's there. 'Cause, yeah, I know. I'm sorry, it was just told.
my true. Okay. My thing is that the city council hires on this person as an employee. Same as whenever I'm hired on as an employee. I am there as an employee for an indefinite amount of time. It's an undetermined amount of time. So if I don't suck, they keep me. And if they don't suck, I let them keep me. So I don't understand, isn't that the same concept with what y'all are doing with an indefinite amount of time for the city manager? He's an employee. So you keep him as long as he's doing a good job, correct?
Yes.
And
that-
is
that
it a
was
big
your
difference than what it was before? He was,
Well, I think what happened before is, I believe, it came up every 2 years and that contract was renewed then on an every 2-year basis. Here, you'd have to affirmatively discharge the city manager,
okay.
rather than just not renew his contract.
So basically with the charter, though, y'all are looking at him more as just a regular employee, is that correct?
There's probably no difference than just, any other employee, except, the one difference in our charter is we do require a supermajority of the city council to terminate him, or her, as the case may be. The other thing that I would point out is that in the model charter agreement, not that we have to follow the model charter agreement, but as put forth by the state, in their description of the city manager's duties, it says the city manager shall be appointed for an indefinite term and receive compensation as may be fixed by the council. So the indefinite term seems to be a clause that's in the model city charter.
So it's pretty standard.
But it does, it's a change from a 2-year contract, which then you had to affirmatively renew each 2 years.
Yes, ma'am.
I want my 2 minutes.
questions, not counting your answers. First, please open page 6, 3.07F. The mayor nominates all board and commission members. Currently, I can self-nominate, I can go to the city council and ask if I may serve. In the future, I am basically as a citizen on the mercy of the mayor if I may serve my city. I don't know what would make me vote for something like that as a citizen. Please, give me a reason. And then I would like my other, wait a second, I think 1.5 minutes to ask my other question.
Okay, give me the paragraph
One
again.
more time? Okay,
Yeah,
that
you're
doesn't
not on the
count,
clock.
this does not count against my
No,
time.
you're not on the clock. 3.07.
Page 6,
Yes, ma'am.
3.07F. If you need an
Yeah, currently,
elaboration-
currently, as I understand it, the way our our process works in the city is, members of boards and commissions are nominated from that respective board and commission, and they come before city council, and the city council then approves the nomination that's come up from the, kind of a ground up. In this case, we've got the mayor, which, would appoint those, and presumably with some deliberation with those boards.
We don't presume anything. Only the mayor. I take that literally. If I want to take that to court, they actually know how to read and they read that literally. Only the mayor. I, as a citizen, I'm dependent on the mayor to approve of me to serve anywhere. Why, tell me, why would I want to vote for it? For when this is in the charter. Or why would anybody here who is semi-sane want to vote for that? No offense.
Well,
Give me
the
a
one,
reason.
okay, the one thing I would say is that I think it's important that everybody look at this charter as a whole, right?
No. This is one particular ingredient.
No,
One
I-
ultra particular important ingredient of
Sure,
that charter.
sure.
Because it really neuters me as a citizen. And I don't want to be neutered, quite frankly. I don't think most people in here would like to be neutered. But I guess you cannot answer this question, and I take it.
We
No
are
answer for-
not here to tell you how to vote.
I know
We are
that.
here to answer questions.
I know you can't really answer that question, because if you could answer it, then I would know how to vote. Now, or actually, I know how to vote, but you might change my mind. Page 18, 8.02, actually, it starts on page 17. It seems to be intended as some sort of code of ethics. Articles, general provisions, construction, blah, blah, blah. 8.2, no employee or official of the city, you can read it yourself, I don't want to waste my time on it. B, no person who holds a compensated position. And then C, no person who seeks appointment, whatever. It basically is against bribery, corruption, graft. And then on D, you give the city manager, whoever that city manager may be at that time, basically the power to excuse that person, because he doesn't have to suspend or terminate a person who is liable to graft and corruption and whatnot, because his suspension or termination is at the discretion of the city manager. I don't get it. Why would somebody vote for that? You open up the city for corruption. Or, not you, that charter as it's written.
How would you do it? You would have them immediately
I'm
terminate? because-
not here to answer questions. You are
Fair
here
enough,
to answer
fair enough.
questions.
So, no, I like it. I like it. Yeah. I'm gonna go stand in the corner for a minute. No, that's a great question. I'm not belittling your
Oh,
question.
my questions are always great. Don't worry about
So
that.
that section is in there, and we had a long discussion about powers.
care
of citi-
about that.
Hold
I wanna
on,
know
I'm
why.
answering your question. I'm referring back to the beginning,
Oh, okay.
where the city manager is the person who hires and fires. So after an investigation, if a city employee is found to engage in improprieties, it goes to the city manager. He's the boss. Yeah.
Okay, shouldn't that be either some sort of a legal project, or shouldn't that be up to the city council? Because citizens need to be protected. I'm not saying our current city manager is corrupt, but we could have a corrupt city manager in the future. Just having that in there, in this one, opens up the door. Do I have another 30 seconds to bring up another point? Because I have 20 more on my page. Petitions. The city manager hires and fires the secretary. Oh, we can have petitions now. Wonderful, I love it. Can't wait to have a petition. Run around my neighborhood, get the 20%. Well, then the city secretary, please open to page 15, 7.02E. The city secretary will verify the petition, the validity of it, and then she will notify the council, the people who will be elected to make decisions, as soon as it's practicable. Practicable. I had to learn that word. Well, I wonder how long that could take, especially if a city manager might keep her busy and the city secretary works under the city manager, and the city manager can fire her if she doesn't do what she wants him to do. Wow. Actually, I don't think you can answer that. I rest my case.
Who's next? Yes, ma'am.
Can I just stand up right here, because I'm sure that podium's cover me.
Just speak really loud.
Bring that down. I can speak loud enough. First of all, I just want to know, and I might be asking the question a little too late, why this even came about, home rule order. Can you explain why we're at this point, why you think we need it over our general provision that's currently prevailing?
Do you want to take that, or want me to?
You want to take it?
So, the whole process, home rule is just another step. It's an evolution of a city. It came about after it was discussed at the council level. City council decided that we wanted to pursue home rule, or at least look at home rule, create a charter. They took a look at all the numbers and everything that required, decided that yes, we meet all the requirements. City council voted to put together a committee and look at home rule. So, I mean, it's basically as simple as that. So, we are a general law city right now. The city council decided that we needed to look at, or we should look at maybe, pursue home rule. So, I mean, it's just that simple. The state allows us to do that. It's the next step. It's the evolution of a city.
Let me just add to that. The council determined that we hit 5,000 in population, which was the benchmark for converting to home rule if you wanted to. But it's, to my knowledge, there is nothing that the city is wanting to do right now that it cannot do because we are a general law city. So said another way, there was no particular impetus. There was no, hey, we would really like to annex Moffett, so let's become a home rule city to give us the power to go annex that. Or there's no, we're in a bind because we can't add to our water system because we're a general law city. We want to convert to home rule, which would allow us to expand that. So, it does, it gives us another a group of it changes the nature of the city council and the city manager, and gives us all the provisions that you see in here. But again, I just want to make the point, there was nothing that drove this other than we hit the 5,000 mark per the city council, and so it allowed us to take a look at this.
Donna, would you, none of us were there, would you be willing to speak on that? I mean, what was council's thought process or rationale behind forming or looking home rule?
I can only speak as a resident, not as a
Yes, ma'am.
not as a council
Okay, yeah,
person, but
disregard
I'm
that. Yeah, I don't want to put you on the spot, so,
No, but I'm happy to do that.
okay.
First off, as a resident, I have to qualify that, so those of you that wanted me to get on social media, that's the reason I couldn't. As a resident.
Yes, ma'am.
resident. It's two questions, Jimbo, because one is, do we want to explore home rule? And home rule as a premise is like grassroots and citizens' involvement. And it's an exciting concept, and once you reach 5,000, you can do it. Used to be, many cities in Texas, when they reached 5,000, did it. That's not why
it was wanted to move forward because most of those cities, they gave you liberal annexation rights when you went home rule. That is not the case anymore. We don't have any more rights of annexation than we do right now. The second thing is, the two-part question I'm saying is, one, there's many people here that support the concept of home rule. The other question is, so it would be moved forward. Let's explore it, let's get a committee, let's see how this works for our citizens in our group. And then the part two of that is, they worked very diligently, and I want to thank you for that you did work diligently on it. We appreciate you. And this is not a reflection of them. They worked very hard. The second part of it is, if we vote yes for home rule, this is what we're going to get. And Andrea, those are my comments, which I'm limited to. So there's two concepts. Do you support home rule? But if you vote yes, this is what, you know, so if you're against this, there's two reasons. So you move it forward because we reached 5,000 to explore it. It's a great premise, but this is what you're going to get for it. And I did have a question, if I can
Yeah,
do that,
please,
as a
please.
resident
Yeah,
again.
no, please, go ahead.
And our EDC came to us with changes in bylaws where they wanted to amend that you didn't have to live in the city. You could live within 10 miles, I believe it said, of the city. And the person that proposed that was on the commission, but yet in the commission, it limits it to residents. So now we've got something that was brought forward by the EDC committee, wanting people, because they have members that are wonderful members that serve a little bit outside the community. But the same person in this charter, you're limiting that. So my question is why? Why? So do we need to, then what do we do? Do we back out now? We voted to move that forward where they could live 10 feet, but the charter, if we accept the charter, says you can't. So my question is, why are we in conflict, or why do we even look at that when we knew this charter was coming up? Does that make sense? It's on page 11. It says in 4.10, appointment of a board member commission must have resided in the corporate limits of the city or within the territory annexed, that's still in the city, prior to the appointment for at least 180 days. And we just accepted a bylaw change from our EDC that said they wanted to go 10 foot out. So I don't understand. And I'm not going to put that person on the spot, and I don't mean to, but why did we just pass that? And evidently they felt that was not what they wanted because it reads differently. So I'm not going to put anybody in the spot, and I'm not going to call the person out that did that or anything. It's just, that's a question. Why? Why are we in conflict with not only some of our ordinances, like for instance, we have a contract with the city manager. Why are we addressing contractual issues when our contract's drawn up by our city attorney? Why are we addressing contractual issues that we have with our city manager? And Dalton, this is not personal. I know this has got to be so uncomfortable, but we have he's pretty chilled, but we have a contract with him. And I don't understand why a home rule charter is addressing contractual issues. So that's another thing, because now this is in conflict with the legal contract we have drawn up with the city manager, or this says any city manager in the future, like being gone 59 days, and he can come back on the 60th day, and he appoints his own replacement. Where's he going for 59 days? Is this paid? Is it sick leave? I mean, it's so vague. I don't understand where they're going with that. But to me, contractual issues do not need to be handled in a home rule. They need to be handled in a contract. So if that's in the form of a question, and you don't have to answer it, but I'm not sure why we're taking.
Let me address the EDC
Okay.
piece first. I have no knowledge of that.
Okay.
And that, the piece that you were talking about, the EDC passing, the rationale as far as members living inside the city is not unlike, members having priority.
I totally understand that.
So, but as the EDC piece, I can't speak to
Okay.
that.
Well, we just, at our last council meeting, passed something totally contrary to this, and it was brought up by, the board, which some of them serve on this, so I didn't understand that. So there's just a few. Y'all did a wonderful job. This is our first time around. Nobody knows how to do this. This is our first time around writing this. This is no reflection on any of the committee members who worked really hard, or our city manager, staff, anyone. It's not personal. There's no reason we have to rush if we feel there's so many issues with it. Y'all did a great job. We've got the bones now. Y'all gave us the bones. So it isn't that we will never have it, but it's just kind of like we say, we're not ready yet. It's not quite ready yet. I know I'm probably taking up too much time, but part of it was as the resident person.
No, you're fine. Fire alerts, that's what I'm looking at, so.
My daughter's been trying to reach me. My grandson's having surgery at 6 o'clock in the morning, so I'm gonna make my statement. I'm gonna step out and call her. But anyway, my point is, I think most of us, kind of like most of the home rule. There's, in my mind, there's about 8 items that I'd like to see changed. And Linda, you made a perfect example of what I was thinking. You stated the last home meeting that this other town, it took 3 different elections before it passed because they wanted to get it right. And I think that's perfect. We want to get this right because if it passes, nothing's going to happen for 3 years. If it doesn't pass, we can start working on it day one to come back within 12 months and fix what I think is, weak. So, and also your committee, everyone in your committee said there was something that they didn't like, but they moved it forward because, and bless y'all, 8 months, 9 months, people bitching at you and stuff like that. It's a job that nobody wants, and to her question, the only reason you have home rule is for the city manager. Any city, it's for the city manager, not for people. It's one home rule city. When it passed, the city manager told everyone that did not live in the city they had 30 days to move into the city or they were terminated. Now, these were some 6-figure salary people. Well, that's why you'll look in some of these stuff, well, they can live within 10 miles or whatever of this is where that came from because, hey, some communities, you can't live in the same city and work. It's just too small. But anyway, thank y'all, and I'm voting no, in case you didn't know, and it's not because of the whole charter.
No, I got
there's
you.
a lot of good things in here.
Yeah.
But there's a few things that that don't make sense. And Linda, that was perfect, I think. Let's don't pass it right now. Let's come back, new committee, same committee, it doesn't matter, and fix these few items in my mind. That I'm gonna step out and make a phone call, but I'm gonna come back. I'm not leaving, but thank you again for your
follow up. Yeah, go make your.
Thank you for your service.
I do want to make the record, he didn't get kicked out, okay?
Thank you for the service, and just vote no. No.
Go ahead, and I've got one, just step up there. So, one thing I want to point out, and yeah, we understand that completely. We do. We know there are things in the charter that we could have done better on or that needed to be changed, but the thing I want to drive home, and I appreciate the support and everything from everybody, good and bad, is that it's a charter of compromise. We had 16 people come together and, to the point, nobody got everything they wanted. So in our mind, when we push it forward, it's a base document. It's a foundational piece. So, yeah, there's 2 courses of action. We can either bring it on board and then pursue changes at the 2-year mark and the 3-year mark, or we can vote no and we can start all over. And I'll tell you right now, I respect everybody's thoughts and opinions in here. Do I support it? Yes, I do. Do I care how you vote? Absolutely not. You are a citizen. You get to vote how you see fit. And I respect that. So the rationale for us as a committee moving it forward, and I'll tell you that when one of the things as the former chairman that I did is I went around to a person before we took the vote and I said, is there anything in this charter specifically that is going to keep you from voting yes, from supporting the document? Understand completely there are things in it that we all don't like. And all 15 members present that day said, nope, I support it. Nope, I support it. Nope, I support it. So that is one of the reasons that we continue, that's why we terminated the committee, is we were satisfied with the document we had was the best we were gonna be able to put together, so. And then we took the vote, and it was a 15-0 unanimous vote, so. And if you would share that, Don, if you would share that with Larry.
Okay.
I wanted to make one comment also. It was a document of compromise. Our country is run by compromise. And we all have personal opinions. We have things that we like, that we don't like. We're not going to get everything that we like. So it's a starting, and what I said about the voted 3 times, it wasn't that they didn't like it. They were very poor at they did not have these town halls. They did not get the information out. So people said, home rule, what's a home rule? It was that bad. So their communication, so I think we've improved on that as far as communication. But it's personal opinion. Being in business, certain things that, as far as hiring and firing employees, that I may disagree with someone who has never been a business owner type of thing. So a lot of it is personal opinion, doesn't mean it's wrong. So anyway, take that into consideration when you look at that.
All right.
Sir?
I got a couple of things to say kind of up front, and then I have a question. Back to the city manager debate that was taking place earlier. If I go to work every morning knowing that I'm on a 2-year contract, chances are I'm going to run a whole lot harder to make sure that I get to renew my contract in 2 years, rather than have someone set me up like I am now on an indefinite contract. And if these folks change their mind, then I've got to look for a job. But if I am strictly on a 2-year contract, I know that to get this position again, I've got to make sure that the people of Morgan's Point, these citizens, are heard in everything that I do. Obviously, like you just said, not everyone is going to be happy, but you can catch the majority in a lot of cases. So that's that's the way I'm a blue collar as they get. And so with that being said, I'm here tonight to educate myself on what home rule is. I've been seeing signs, and I obviously am behind the 8 ball. I didn't get started in educating myself early enough, so that's part of why I'm here tonight. I'm a busy guy. I leave before the sun comes up. I'm especially right now, home before the sun goes, or after the sun goes down every day. So when you start talking about, did you see it on Facebook? Probably not. So I know there's been a lot of heated debates in some of those Facebook comments back and forth. There's some folks that don't agree with each other. And I have tried to go through and read some of those to hear both sides. What I keep coming back to in my mind, even Googling home rule, is one of the very first things that comes up. It gives the city, and I know this is very vague, so bear with me. It gives the city the option to create laws still within the confines of the Constitution of the state, but it gives more power to the city to create laws. Also gives the city a little more power for taxation, right? It allows.
No, Texas preempts all the tax laws.
Okay, so,
Yeah.
all right, thank you. So, I hope y'all will humor me in doing what I'm about to ask. Will each of you, one by one, go through and give me one reason? Now, I know that most of you, as you guys have stated, that all of y'all may have had something in there that wasn't exactly what you wanted, how you wanted it to read, or what it was. But each of you give me one reason why you pushed forward with it and what you believe it would do for the citizens of Morgan's Point. not for the city manager, not for the council, not for police or anybody, for the citizen. What are the advantages for the citizen from each of y'all, if you don't mind?
Well, I'll tell you, we'll do this because in my opening dissertation, you know, we're trying to stick to just the facts from the charter. If you're gonna stick around, I'll be happy to chat with you one-on-one, and I'm sure these folks will.
Absolutely, absolutely.
But we can go around and at least go through and cover what the benefits as the charter is written is from the council, or the committee, the dissolved committee, there we go.
Okay.
I'll get it.
Thank you.
So, you wanna just link up with us afterwards? And you are welcome to stay and hear that part too.
Some of the other folks here wouldn't mind
Yeah, yeah.
y'all thoughts are on why you.
That question has not been answered on Facebook, like, it's still not been answered, Jimbo. Like, why would I wanna vote for that?
Hold that thought, we got somebody who jumped up. Go ahead. Or, I'm gonna get to his, are you gonna ask a question?
I want to do kind of a tag on to this gentleman's question, if you will allow.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I'm not sure if I have the right concept here or not, but in my mind, what the document you all have produced is not about that document and perfect government. It is about how the city is currently being ruled and an alternative ruling method. So can you speak to the current rule of where are the problems that exist with the current governing situation? And how does this charter improve or fix those problems? So it's kind of a similar thing. Because, to me, you'll never have a perfect document. But is it better than what we currently have?
All right, so I'm gonna, yeah, no, you're right, I know where, yeah.
I thought, and I went to most of the town hall meetings, and I spoke at most of the town hall meetings, so you guys know how I feel. I believe there's an imbalance between the city manager and council. I think council's been a little bit neutered with its committees, with its ability to hire approve the chief of police and the fire chief, and it's like all city manager, flashing lights, flashing lights. But one of the things that I heard the attorney say in several meetings is that the citizens were going to be given a side-by-side comparison. Here's what our current charter is, and here's the new charter. So very similar on those lines. But I never have seen that.
Jimbo, we had that at one point.
Yeah, so,
There was
I'm gonna break my own
a
rule.
side by side,
and,
yeah.
Yeah, hold on, we'll try to maintain sanity here. So I'm gonna break my own rule because, again, we're supposed to discuss facts, but the question has come up from several folks about what does it bring, and I'm gonna talk, this is Citizen Jimbo, and then I'll tag on with, what I think it does for council. So, and I've said this several times, as far as a citizen, when I read the document, and you know what, I'm gonna roll all three of these together. So the comparison piece, I've tried to start doing comparisons because there's been a lot of information that goes out there that is just very general. City manager has too much power. Okay, I got it, understandable. If you just look at the charter, there are 17 items in there that the city manager is responsible for, or his powers. What I did was I went back to the 2012 document, the city manager job description that he currently operates under, and I pulled bullets that match those almost verbatim in most cases. And I married those up. So that was the comparison. And I will tell you, in the job description, there are 35 separate powers that the city manager has. So, you know, does that mean we've reduced anything? No, I don't think so. He still has those same powers, but that comparison to me just kind of negated that argument. He is doing, and I say he, the city manager's position is currently doing everything that the home rule charter is going to task him to do. There's really no change, honestly.
Except it addresses the contract, which is done
Yes,
separate.
yeah.
So there are changes, Jimbo.
Yes, ma'am. No, I'm just talking in powers,
So
power
we don't wanna
specific.
mislead people that
Yeah,
it's
no,
exactly the
I'm
same.
talking
There are
about,
changes. There are
no,
different
you are
changes.
correct. And there is one other thing, and you mentioned the hiring and firing. When I went in there and looked at those, it says in both documents that the city manager has the power to hire and fire the employees. I mean, we did not break them all down specifically, you know, because the city has a lot of employees, but it's, those pieces are almost the same. I mean, they're pretty close together. So, it's, you know, I'm a transparency person, so the one thing that is in there that is not in the 2012 job description was moving the city secretary over underneath the city manager. And there was a lot of discussion about that. We did that because he hires and fires essentially everybody else. He's the CEO. So why not move that person over there? And there was a lot of discussion about, well, if the city secretary reports to the city manager, you know, there's some impropriety. And the rationale behind that was we wanted somebody that was going to be able to work with the city manager separate from the mayor, separate from council, separate from any other interaction or involvement. And we wanted that because those two need to have a solid working relationship. The checks and balances on that is the council has all the authority on the plan. If you read the first, I think it's the first bullet or the first paragraph, city council has all the power. It's listed in there. We are not trying to take power away from the city council. If I thought, if I thought city council was getting put in a bad spot, I wouldn't be running right now. And maybe that's my, you know, my ignorance, my inexperience. I got it. I understand that. But looking through that, it just seemed to make sense to us, which is one thing I will point out, and I got you. I appreciate the passion. I really do. And that's no joke. I'm not blowing smoke. I do. But what you have to keep in mind is you had 15 folks who came together with no clue on what we were doing. And we were moving through the process, and we got really good at it. And I think, again, we have a good document. Larry, you're spot on. There's stuff that needs to be fixed.
But Jim, it wasn't, I know at one point Grady had a side-by-side comparison of what general law, and not city manager's job description, but, you know, basically salient points in general law and how home rule differed on that.
To be honest with you, I don't know. I don't remember.
Because I'll.
We never.
Yeah, I don't remember. So, yes, sir. Oh, hold on. Yep.
Oh, you just talked about audio files and stuff. What I really wonder, actually, I was going a little back. I was surprised to hear earlier this year that the police were hired somehow or something. And what puzzled me was that the city manager fires the police chief, because whenever I come to a city council meeting, somebody new comes up, you know, the city council introduces him, and I was always under the impression that the city council has some input on hiring basically the guy in charge of the Morgan's Point Army, if you will, the police, or the Morgan's Point Army, the fire department, or the Morgan's Point city secretary, for that matter. Why didn't you improve somehow more oversight, not concentrate the power all in one hand? The city council the city council can, I guess at one point, fire some, and I'm not talking about Dalton, and Dalton doesn't really care, but city manager, but the city council can't really do much because the city manager has so much power that he can get everybody kind of against him. You didn't really improve anything in here. You made it worse as far as I'm concerned. You really made it worse than what we had, what we currently still have, fortunately. Hopefully, much stronger.
Can I make a suggestion? If you guys find that comparison, I'll be glad to scan it and
Can we
post
go
it
back
on
to
the.
the mic, 'cause I'm deaf and I'm not hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. I said if they find that comparison, I've heard that question a lot. I'd love to post it on the website. So if you'll give it to me, we'll scan it and we'll put it under Home Rule Charter, on the website, right on the front page.
Sounds great.
Yeah, as soon as I get it, I'll post it. Your man or I.
I was gonna say.
Put it up before we vote,
I'll put it up.
because we got this a week before early voting started. I thought that's a little bit late. I rushed to read through all those papers. And I think I'm not the only one that rushed to read through all those.
It has been on the city website.
It's on the city website, for crying out loud. Not everybody goes on the website. When I talk to my neighbors, most of them don't.
Well, then,
I can tell you. No, the only thing I can answer to that is they were mailed out in accordance with the law. The committee had nothing to do with that. That's not, I can't speak to that.
I don't know who did it. I'm not blaming you.
Yeah, no, I understand. I do want to address one thing, one spot in here that you were talking about, and this is something that we went back to a lot of times, where you're talking about the hiring and firing, or the police chief being fired. That was a personnel action, so of course we had no knowledge of that and what was going on. But again, I would point out that it's the same, the charter it just includes that same.
It's the same, but why use the same when you
Well,
have the chance to improve?
Because there's the blurb in here that says the city council shall have power to inquire into the conduct of any office, department, agency, officer.
Inquire is not power. Inquire is asking a question.
Exactly, that's where this, that is,
Taking the terms literally, which they should be taken. I'm sorry about that, and I'm getting really upset for maybe.
Watch out.
Pat, you had it, hold that. Go ahead.
Anyone?
I will stand with you.
Yes.
Jim, I think the important point is
I'm listening, go ahead, sir.
that we're not trying to argue or carry on. What we were trying to get across is we need better communication. And I think it was, at least on one person's viewpoint, was we've been getting a lot of one side and no discussion. That's what you and I are talking about.
Yes.
But very quickly, I appreciate what you guys have done. I really do. And there's no way in hell I'd do it. I'm too thin-skinned for that. I would have, been fired at the second minute. It's not that we dislike what you guys have done. That's not the point. The point is, why would we possibly want to go from a democratic representative controlling body, the city council, to a hired bureaucratic authoritarian? And if you think that's not what happens, have you ever heard of a place called Washington, D.C.? So at the local level, we've got 5 people that are accountable to us every 2 years. If you go through, and Jim, and we can talk about it, if you go through the steps, by the time you do the recall and all that other, the chances are not real good that that's ever going to happen. But if you just got 2 years, because you only got 18 months because you can't fire them, you can't recall them for 6 months. It's easy, you just don't reelect them.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to go through anything. If you go to 10 or 20 or 25% of registered voters to get something done, one, there's no time limit, right? It doesn't say how long you have to do the petition. But either that, it doesn't really matter. It's going to be a thing that you can do, but you can't really do because it's never going to happen. So when you say that the people have more power, I vehemently disagree with you. Because what you've done is you've taken our input mechanism, the city council, you've taken that away from us. Because the city council now just becomes like the board of the directors. The board of directors, in way too many situations, rubber stamps whatever the CEO says. The difference is we don't have any stock to say, damn, I've lost my stock, so fire that guy. We've just lost our ability to communicate better. We've got council members who you can go to. You don't have to have a big petition, you just go and talk to the council members. If you go with this idea, you've taken the council away from their oversight position directly to a much more broad view, where the city council is no longer an effective governing organization because the city manager is now the authoritarian that takes care of everything. That is what some of us are upset about. And I will just throw this little bit out for you. I did find a thing of all places, understanding city government structures in Texas. And it's from the Immigration League Resource Center. I thought, okay, those guys don't normally work on this stuff. Duties and powers, responsibility of a mayor, council, or versus city council. And it's, so, and then city council officials. This might be what we were talking about earlier, this little chart. You know, it's just one that I found online, and it made a lot of sense to me, so I will offer that up. So, thank you.
Hold on, I'm gonna address a couple things Pat brought up. No, you're good. No, I wanted to, so just a couple things, Pat, and this is a little more dialogue. You can sit back down. I mean, I know where you're at, but this is a little more dialogue for you and I. So I guess my confusion, as you know, a former architect of this thing is, you know, you talked about the form of government, you know, being, and I guess my confusion with that comment is, that's what we have now. You know, we didn't change council manager form of government. It's the same. Council still serves 2 years, although staggered terms, assuming it passes. So, you know, the idea of voting out a council member, you know, after 2 years is still in play. I will cede to you, and that's an interesting, I hadn't thought about the recall piece, honestly, as far as the timeline. So understand that completely. So the recall piece, you know, you guys that have followed me, or at least, you know, tried my explanations, you know what, I'll give you that one. That's a win for you. Because recalls, under the way it's written right now, may not actually be in play. A thought on that is, if enough people come on board, or even if you don't meet the petition, then let's just say me, I'll use me as, I'm a new council member, and I think I'm doing a great job. And if enough people get together and start something, and I look at it and go, I'm not doing a good job. So it's a wake-up call. Maybe a tool for that. Now, what I will say is, again, you win recall, but I still think personally, initiatives and referendums are real powerful tools. I don't think they take as long, and one of the things that Shane's not here, but I know he was a major advocate, and our city staff can speak to this. One of the things that blew up was outbuildings. How much space can I have for an outbuilding, and how many can I have? Blah, 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 blah. You know, as a citizen, if there's an ordinance passed that I don't like, I have no recourse right now. I just, okay, you know, council wins. But if I want to challenge that, other than what is it? It's, what's it called, where I apply for a, what's the word?
Variance.
That thing.
Variance.
I need my meds. But I still think, you know, personally, I think initiatives and referendums are huge, because if I don't like an ordinance that council has put in there, for whatever reason, maybe I did go talk to my council member. Now I can start the process to have that removed. Again, I hear what you're saying, and I appreciate your thoughts. I really do. My antagonistic friends, I think I love you guys more than the ones who just kind of sit there. So,
Just a little fact check since you talked about initiative and referendums. The state law on initiative and referendum says it cannot be less than 5%. 5% what? It can be less than 5% of the qualified voters of a city.
yes.
Okay, the initiatives that we have in this charter say 10%. And 10% we have approximately 3,500 voters. So 10%, you're talking about getting 350 signatures. Now move on to referendums, which is a biggie. I like referendums. The problem is now 20%. So now someone is gonna have to go out with a petition and get 700 signatures qualified by the city secretary that they're all registered voters in the city. And it's just such an arduous task, and I'm wondering, why didn't we reduce the percentage if we were so strong? And not, this is not a criticism.
No.
It's just I'm wondering, because I agree with Pat in that we have it, and it's wonderful that we have these. We don't have these before. But the percentages of what has to take place, and a recall, 25%. Now you're at 875 signatures, and what did we have vote in the last election?
317.
320. So even at 10%, it'd be everybody that voted would have to sign that petition. So it's not, I guess, as realistic. It's a good thing, I agree with you on that.
Yeah.
But the percentages that were set are so extremely high, you know.
The reason why we made it high was because we were given a couple of examples from other cities. One was a splash pad. They had a low percentage. One section didn't want it, one wanted the other. It went back and forth for 10 years. So it has to be a very important thing to go out and do, because we do. We vote in our council because we trust them, and we know that they're going to do right. But there might be one thing that comes up that the council is just not seeing eye to eye with the majority of the members. So it does give us something. So the idea is it's better to have it and not use it than to need it and not have it.
But if you have it, you want to be able to realistically use it.
Right, but you don't want to have a back and forth.
And I understand, and really, from a different position that I serve, I'm kind of happy, it's higher, because it can't be overturned as easily. I
Right.
understand that from.
And that was
say,
the
let's say,
reasoning.
city position, but as a citizen, it's like, wow, this decision that was made, I really want to get people behind me in this referendum. It's really important. Now I've got to go out for a referendum and get 20% of the registered voters, and I'm at, 700 names. And as a resident, to me, it's just like, wow, that is so unsurmountable. As in a different position, I get the high percentages totally. You don't want things to just piecemeal and here, we're gonna do this and that. I totally get it from that perspective. But from a citizen's perspective, it is not a great benefit.
Well, coming from a city and a state that has recall referendum, it's good to have. It really
Which is
is good to
where?
have.
What state?
California.
Okay.
So I come from California, and as you know, it's been used at the state level, but also at the local level. So when I came here and found out we didn't have that, it was very strange to me, because it was always a right that we had.
And once again, I support initiative referendums and recall, but I don't support from the citizens' perspective, I don't support the high percentages of what it takes for our citizens to get it done. Does that make sense? I support what you're saying, I understand what you're saying, I agree those are good. I just don't see how doable it is when you had, 300 and whatever, 20-something voting, and the lowest amount requires 10%, requires everybody that voted to support it. So it's just not real doable, I guess, as a citizen.
Yes, sir.
There's a concept in human system development, the 10th man rule, or the loyal dissenter. For those who aren't familiar with it, it's where you essentially have a person whose entire job it is to make everybody else mad at you by telling them how badly they're doing. It's a thankless job, but the idea. Well, a lot of times it is. The idea is that you test these things. You put them. You come. This person's job is to go through a system and come up with a scenario where an actor in that system can seize control or generally use it. Basically, how bad could it get if we had the wrong people? And my question is, was there a committee member who was the designated dissenter?
Designated survivor? Actually, no, that is the first I've heard of that.
Okay.
What we did do, as a committee, I think, is, one of the things that we decided early on was that we really wanted to focus on checks and balances. And I know that is so cliche, but I think that was kind of how we did that. And the ones that were at the majority of our meetings know the word rogue came up a lot.
Yeah.
We're like, what if we have a rogue mayor? What if we have a rogue city manager? What if we have rogue council? So I think maybe some of what you're talking about, kind of, the worst case scenario, we did consider a lot of that, or tried to. But no, that's actually an interesting concept.
Okay.
I would play that role well.
Yeah. You get to be the jerk. It's kind of fun.
No. Pat, yes, sir.
I was just gonna make a comment on following on what Donna said. When you talk about it gives the people more power, in theory, that's absolutely correct. And I applaud that, and I'm a huge because you're never gonna get that many people to sign a petition in this type of a community, because this is, and I will use the term that God respect me dead, this is a bedroom community. It's always been a bedroom community. And so we love the fact that we can be here and we just kind of do our own thing. You don't get a lot of activism, you don't get a lot of things going on because people are happy. So it's a wonderful idea, believe me, and I understand referendums and recalls, and I think that's great. Throw the phone out. But I think the point is not that it's bad, it's just it's not probably ever gonna be very practical. So from that viewpoint, I think that just from a sheer practical viewpoint, going over here and yelling at Donna or whoever is probably more effective for the citizens than the impractical of those three things. I think that having your representative that still owes their position to you as a voter is more direct than something, you know, that a referendum on, or whatever. That was my.
No, gotcha.
I don't think
Fair
they're dumb
enough.
ideas in any stretch of the imagination. I just think it's terribly impractical.
Make a couple of comments.
Bruce, hold on a sec. Yeah, go ahead.
As regards what you're saying about initiative, referendum and recall, as I recall from our deliberations, we went with a low percentage on initiative because that would encourage us all to get involved in council meetings. Then the other things such as the referendum, that's getting more dire, and recall even more dire, so the percentages increased to make it more difficult. But then if you had sufficiently a sufficient number of unhappy people, then you're going to get that number that you want. But I recall that the attorney who led us through this process said the number of recalls, I think in Texas, was minimal, minuscule number.
You just wait for the election.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, sir.
All right, I'm not speaking as a council member tonight, I'm speaking as a citizen. I just have to make that
Fair enough.
disclaimer. But I had to step out for a call, so I'm sorry, I missed some of the stuff that was going on. I'm saying I'm not against home rule, okay? But you know me, I'm a guy that I want to dot the i's and cross the t's, right? And so I think we have a good thing to start on. I just think that we need to make some tweaks to it. And I'll give you an example. If you look at section 403, when it's talking about the acting city manager under subsection C, or paragraph C, it says if the city manager's absence exceeds 60 days. Is that 60 consecutive days or 60 accumulative days? And over what time period? So you see, I mean, want things to be more defined, just more definite. And that comes with time, right? And like anything else, you take one document and then you go over it and you say, oh yeah, I gotta make a few changes, and we come back with something better. And I think that's what we have here. We have a good place to start with, but I just don't think it's a finished document that will serve our city well. So.
Fair enough. Appreciate it. Who else had a hand up? Anybody else? No?
First of all, I want to thank all you members. I don't know you, I know Les, and I know Jim Ann, but I want to thank all of you for what you've done. You put in a lot of work, and we all appreciate it. I know all the citizens do. I think you've done a good job, but I agree with those who believe that this document has flaws in it that need to be corrected before it should be approved for home rule. It can be approved to the extent that I'm against, for example, this place, vote by place. I don't like that. I believe in plurality. Total number runs for the council, the top 5, top 6, whatever it is we're running for. I think those ought to win. I don't think you ought to have to run, two people should have to run for the same place. They may both be, or all three be, or two be good people. But I think we should just run for the council, and those that get the most plurality win. I agree about the initiative referendum, the 10%, 20%. And I think that's about all I have to say about that. So I urge you I urge everyone in here to take a real serious look at this thing, and let's vote against home rule, and let's get a better product, and I think we can all support it. And I think the city will be stronger for it. That's my position. Makes it simplistic, but that's what I believe. Thank you all for listening.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
It's almost the witching hour. Anything else?
Can I just say something? It's not.
Nope. No.
Yeah.
I know, I'm way past my birthday.
No, you're fine.
No, I just wanted to say, what a lovely group y'all are. You know, we got together in person, not on social media where you hide behind print. We got together as a group, and I think we just, you know, we speak with passion, but we speak with respect and kindness for everybody in the room. And I just want to tell you how much I appreciate what y'all have done tonight. And once again, none of the comments are personal towards any member of the commission. I know every single one of you, I consider my friends, and every single one of you, no matter how you vote, are still my friends. We're not changing anything. You know, we're not losing our humanity over this. No matter what happens, we're moving on. But I just wanted to just say at the end, we thank you so much. And, I love the bones that you've given us, and I love the work and dedication you put into this. And I thank everybody for being such a lovely group tonight. And I hope we continue this on social media. Let's keep this. Amen.
And I want to thank everybody for coming out, because as Donna said, this is so important, and it's important to have, you know, civil discourse like this. I mean, how great is this, right? We can talk and have differences of opinions. Nobody's all, you know, upset. People have just legitimate discourse. I think it's great. I love this city.
I'm gonna make a comment in that this whole gathering was not unlike, this entire gathering was
Hold
not.
on 1 second, folks, please. 1 second.
This entire gathering was not unlike our meetings on home rule. Out of 15 people, there were not many items that we agreed 100% on. So everyone went back and forth. You know, we tried to compromise. You know, going back and forth, sometimes I changed my mind. I saw their point, I said, yes, we're gonna do it. Sometimes I didn't, but we took a vote, majority vote, and I said to myself, okay, maybe I'm not right, majority won out. So we did, you know, so we see everything everyone out there says, because we have those same discussions. I mean, the percentages, you know, the duties, everything that was brought up, I don't think there's any topic there that we didn't debate and discuss. So, yeah, we certainly see that. You know, in the end, we felt it was a good document. But did we feel it was perfect? I don't think any of us thought it was a perfect document. We hoped that it was. But, you know, we all had different opinions.
I do have one comment.
Yeah.
With all the work that you and even some of the people that aren't here now, would you be willing to go back to your desks in your meetings and revise this in light of the comments that you've heard tonight?
I think the way of revising the document, because we all agree that it's not.
We're out of here. I've done my time.
But
I honestly would have to think about it, and part of that is because even with everyone's comments, if you stood up at the podium, how many people out there really agreed with you? I don't know. I mean, that's the way you felt. I mean, we felt the same way. So again, this whole interaction was not unlike one of our meetings.
I have a question. Didn't you have a lawyer on the screen that had some idea of what was supposed to be maybe in here? So somebody cannot argue against it?
We did have an attorney that advised us, and when we finished this document, I point blank asked the attorney, is there anything in here? You've done a lot of home rules, you've written a lot of charters, is there anything in here you think could hurt us in any way? Is there anything you think we need to go back and take another look at? He said no. So, Grady Randall, he's in Houston?
Houston.
Houston.
Just want to make sure that I will never use this guy.
Well, and keep in mind, every city is different. We looked at city charters from various cities in Texas and in this area, and no two were really the same. Everyone had they all were different. So it's hard to say what's right and what's wrong. I mean, everyone had a different charter. So, we looked at it and, again, tried to pick what we thought was the best and compromised, and that's kind of where we ended up, so.
Unless anybody else wants to say anything, there's one comment that I wanted to say earlier, but it was quick. And Roxanne and Jimbo, please run, whoever doesn't make it, and if it doesn't pass, please run for council, because you two guys are very well qualified to be, I'm happy to have you guys.
I don't want to speak for her, but we've had that conversation already, and I'll tell you, I will. It's, just, so.
All right, good.
Although it may not be run for office, it may be running the hell out of here. Hey, really, we do appreciate you guys also very much, and the exchanges. Thanks for being here, taking time out of your day to come up and chat with us and give us your ideas. I'll answer your question real quick. So, would I go back to my desk right now? I don't think right now, because in my mind, and this is just the way I'm built, the way I'm sprung-loaded, I know there are shortcomings in it, it's not perfect, but I would like to get something in place and work to build from there. If it doesn't pass, and this is for the powers that be that are here as citizens, I would 100% support, if they want to support me back on another committee, I would go, yeah, it was a wonderful opportunity. So, and we'll give it another go if that's what it takes.
Yeah, I don't want you to feel discouraged if it does not pass.
No.
I want you to feel, say, okay, this is a good start. Let us go back to our desk. We're familiar with each other. We're familiar with what things we need to tweak a little bit. One of the little things in there that I had was trying to regulate who's coming by my house, having to get a permit from the city. And next time a little girl comes up to me selling Girl Scout cookies, I don't want to say, I'm sorry, I can't buy that. You've got to go to City Hall and get me a permit. So some of the stuff, the minutia in there was a little bit much for me.
Fair enough. Yes. You guys be safe. Have a good night.